All right, hello and welcome to your restorative class. We're gonna just do a few different postures and we're gonna stay in them for a little bit longer than usual, really focusing on the breath. Our whole focus today is to work on releasing anxiety and stress. So really finding ourselves in these comfortable postures for support. But we're also gonna focus a lot on the breath work today. So go ahead and find yourself to start with in a comfortable seated posture. So maybe that means taking one of your blankets and sliding it underneath your tailbone to give you a little bit of support. And if you have wall space, maybe that means sitting against the wall so your back is really supported. So I'll leave that up to you. And then just find yourself in that really comfortable sit. So adjust the legs, adjust the body as needed, and just take a moment and start to feel yourself somewhat landing in your practice. Maybe the eyes close if that feels safe and comfortable. Or maybe you just kind of soften your gaze to limit any distractions that might pull us away. And I'll invite you, whether your eyes are closed or soft, just to place your right hand on your left shoulder and your left hand on your right side body. So almost like you're giving yourself a little hug. And without changing it or manipulating it in any way, just start to notice your breath. Notice where it begins, where it ends, where it lands. Does it feel a little bit more shallow and in the chest? Does it feel long and in the belly? Often when we're stressed or dealing with some kind of anxiety, the breath tends to be more shallow and in the lungs. So without any judgment, just notice if that's where you are today. And that's going to be our pretty big focus. Is trying to allow the physical body to relax a little bit more so we can deepen that breath. You can stay here with the eyes closed as you just notice. We're just going to switch. So now letting the left hand be on the right shoulder and the right hand being on the left side body. Just notice if that changed the breath in any way. Start to really tap into this tactile connection of the weight of your hands on your body. More and more studies are showing that body awareness, that proprioception, really helps in alleviating stress and even physical pain, understanding where our body is in space. So throughout today's class, I'm going to really invite you to be in the present moment, come back to the sensations of the breath, any tactile sensations, rather than letting the mind project into the future or what's to come, which only adds to the anxiety. And then slowly just bringing the hands into the lap. We're going to move into a breath work called heart breath. So we're just going to place the hands at the heart. And you can either do this with the hands touching, more like prayer hands, or if it feels good to have the tactile connection, placing the right palm on the chest and then the left hand on top of the right hand. So you can feel the weight of the hands on your chest. As we inhale, we're physically going to open up the arms and feel spaciousness through the front body. And as we exhale, bringing everything back, contracting the body and letting the hands come back to resting at the chest. Inhale, open and feel the spaciousness in the body. Exhale, feel that contracting and that sensing of coming home as the hands come back to the body. And take this at your own pace, however deep or even shallow the breath may feel today. So rather than finding retention or holding the breath, let there be this natural fluidity, this natural ebb and flow. And notice if that's changing your breath in any way. Notice if it's changing your mindset in any way. The breath pulling you deeper into this relaxation, this present moment awareness. Just take one or two more here. And then take a moment and let the hands just be on the lap. And notice if you feel any different now than you did a moment ago. And allow yourself to really feel the body in this present moment. And before we get into our first actual physical asana or shape today, I'm going to do one more breath work and do a humming breath or a bumblebee breath. So I'll invite you to place one hand on the heart so you can feel the heavy or the weight of the palm on the body, and the other hand physically on the throat so you can tap into that vibration that we'll create. So take a nice big in-breath. And as you exhale, you're just going to hum. The bottom of the hum, again, take an inhale. And again. And the hand that's on the throat, be really aware to that tactile sensation of the vibration you're creating. And take one more round. And then again, let the hands just rest into the lap. And take a moment in this almost quiet reflection just to see how you feel. Hopefully a little bit more centered, more present, less anxious. And as we start to transition into our first shape, you're going to need one blanket to start. And we're going to fold it in a little square chunk that's going to be at the back of your mat to support your head. And then your second blanket is going to be folded in a more rectangle shape. So nothing too big, but it's just going to be there for support for the knees. So we're going to come into a side laying position. So one blanket for the head, and then the other blanket you're going to have underneath that knee and then on top of it. So you've got some support and some cushioning on the floor and then in between the knees as you come to lay on your side. And then the arm of the side that we're laying on, so for me, I'm laying on my left side, it's going to be just right underneath of you, and then resting your head onto that blanket. And then the top arm can be either overhead, or maybe you open a little bit more towards the sky and the arm comes a little bit behind you. But that top arm is just going to be somewhere overhead in whatever orientation feels the most supportive for you. Take a moment, feel the body weighted into the floor. If it feels safe and comfortable to do so, maybe the eyes close again. Feel the opening and the expansiveness in the side body that's up towards the ceiling. And start to bring your awareness to your breath. Allow the focus to be on the ribs that are up and lifted and open. Can you sense them rising and falling with the breath? And can you almost sense just the breath nourishing or even just massaging the rib cage as you feel the diaphragm kind of push into the side rib and then release. And put a lot of attention or focus or words even to describe how that feels in your body. As you start to be more aware of the sensation, can you even start to maybe feel the space between each rib? As you inhale, feel that expansion. As you exhale, maybe even feeling all those little intercostal muscles coming back together. Letting your awareness really be grounded on that rib cage and how it feels. Maybe noticing a different detail with every breath. And maybe start to take that expansiveness to encompass more. So rather than individual rib cage, can you feel the entire unit? And keep that attention as you just start to open into a deeper twist. So now that top arm comes over to the side. So you feel that gentle twist through that thoracic or mid back as the shoulders are grounded. And feel free to make any adjustments in the knees or the head that might make you feel more comfortable. As you settle into this deeper twist, can you bring your attention back to the ribs? Do you feel more spacious or less? Can you sense each little bone with the intercostal muscles separating as you inhale and compacting as you exhale? Let's really be attentive to each little sensation with the breath. Again, just letting that breath flow one into the next. So rather than adding in retention or holding at the top, just let the inhale just flow right into the exhale. Maybe you notice the twist getting a little easier with each breath. Maybe if the arms straight out feels easy and you'd like a little bit more of a challenge, taking that right arm into more of a cactus shape and just seeing how that changes, how that feels. And if you did go deeper just now into your twist, can you feel the breath even into more of the rectus abdominis or that front abdomen? If you notice that shift, can we feel it pushing through the right ribs as well as through the front belly? Just a few more moments. Maybe if you took the cactus shape of the arm didn't find the floor, but notice is it getting closer to the floor as the thoracic spine releases and you're allowed to go deeper into this twist. Now just feel the breath flowing throughout the entire body. And then slowly bring this right arm back towards the front of the body, just gently coming out of that twist, taking as much time as you need as the body adjusts. And then from here, we're just going to come onto our backs. And for you at home, all you have to do is flip your blanket over and then come onto that other side. So you still have that blanket on the floor. I'm going to go ahead and turn around so I don't have my back to you, but feel free to stay there. So you've got one blanket underneath that right knee now, and the other edge of the blanket in between the knees. The right arm is just out, and then that left arm is overhead somewhere, maybe right overhead, or maybe you're opening a little bit to start. But we're pretty square towards the side wall for now. So we can just feel the space through the left rib cage. Feel the left shoulder starting to release. And just like we did on the other side, bring that awareness specifically to the rib cage for now. Maybe even closing the eyes just so you can really allow your attention and your focus to be where that breath is landing. At first, maybe just noticing the ribs rise and fall. But then can you bring more awareness to the space in between each rib? Feel each little gap as you inhale. And feel that closure as you exhale. You also just sense that shoulder releasing where it connects with the rib cage as the arms extended overhead. So you feel this gentle release from the armpit through the side body and even into the hip in this nice long line of openness. Just notice without any judgment if the mind has wandered off onto something else. Can you gently just bring it back to being in this present moment, being aware of the breath and the physical sensation in the body. And perhaps if the shoulders are tight, that physical aspect of opening this left shoulder is what's speaking the loudest. Can we allow our mind to focus on something that's not uncomfortable into an area that is maybe less uncomfortable or maybe has even less sensation than that? So just notice where you feel the sensation, where you feel the opening. But then bring your attention to somewhere else in the body. And then we're just going to slowly transition now into that thoracic twist. So make any little micro adjustments you might need to allow that left arm to come behind you. Letting the chest open more towards the sky. And just seeing how that changes. Did it change the breath? Our body is held together with this connective tissue of fascia, like a bodysuit. And the longer we can stay still in a posture and allow that stress from gravity to open it up, the more hydrated and healthy the fascia tissue becomes. And the superficial layer right under the skin is full of proprioceptive receptors. So that wears my body in space, which the more we can connect with that, it can help with pain release, emotional, whatever we might be struggling with. Just really notice how the layers right underneath the skin feel. And if you need to go deeper, feel free to cactus shape this left arm, maybe seeing how that changes through the shoulder. And if the arm doesn't touch the floor at first, just notice the longer you stay, as it gets closer and closer, that's your fascia getting healthier, pulling in fluids, getting hydrated. So in these practices, that aspect of stillness is really the most important thing that we can aspire to. Again, just notice the mind, and if it's busy and cluttered, can you bring it back to the breath? Feeling it kind of just pull through the rib cage as you inhale and take up space. And feel that release and contraction as you exhale. And just take a couple more breaths here. And then again, taking as much time as you need to slowly draw this left arm back into the body and working your way gently out of this twist, taking your time, noticing how it feels as you come out. Maybe even staying for a moment along the way just to experience the sensations in the body until you feel ready to press yourself up. So we're going to move into a chest opener. For now, we were just doing the thoracic and the shoulders. But we're going to want to make a little roll. So go ahead and take one of your blankets. And we're going to unfold it a couple times so you have a pretty big size rectangle of blanket. And we're going to roll it up. So almost like you're going to roll a burrito. But you really want the length of your roll to be as long as your torso and a little bit extra for the head. So as you start to set yourself up with this, you're going to place one edge of the roll next to your tailbone area. If you want the other blanket, you can place it on your knees, so it'll be on your lap ready for you when you want it, or just have it off to the side. So as you start to lay down, just imagine you're trying to lay the tailbone, the sacrum, the low back, the mid back, and eventually the neck and the head onto the blanket. So it feels like it's just opening up this front body. Now, if you have extra space in your blanket, which hopefully we do, you can reach overhead, pick up your head a little bit, and then tuck that under. And it's going to kind of create like a little lift. So the head is a little bit more elevated above the heart. So you have this little rolled blanket running along the length of the spine. My hips, my glutes actually are on the floor. So it starts right at the tailbone and just runs up through the back of the head. So we should just kind of feel like our chest and maybe even the rib cage is lifted up like a chest back bend, if that makes sense. And then the arms can be down at 45 or maybe out. But if you want a little bit more, you can find that cactus shape. But again, we're just going for about 60 or 70% of our capacity. So sometimes less is more. So just feel this gentle space opening through the chest and kind of feel like the sides of the chest are just cascading down. And then gravity will apply the pressure that we need to rehydrate this fascia. So now for the breath, can we bring our awareness to the back rib cage where it connects with the blanket? And feel the weight of the body compress into the blanket as you exhale. And almost feel the sensation of lifting or lightness as you inhale. And if the chest is really tight, especially if we spend a lot of time at the computer with that almost hunched forward, allowing the body to open up in this way might feel a little uncomfortable at first. So just focus on that breath and allow the fascia to slowly adapt. And bring that awareness back to that tactile connection of the body with the breath. And if you feel like this is getting really comfortable and you want a little bit more, feel free to start to maybe work the arms up a little bit, coming into a little bit deeper of this chest opening. Maybe even starting to cactus shape the arms if that feels accessible to you. Or maybe you're really comfortable and you just want to stay as you are. Notice the heaviness of the body. Keep coming back to noticing each breath. And we'll take a few more breaths here. And this posture too symbolically can be the opening and this offering of ourselves and our heart. Often we're so hunched and within ourselves, so to open ourselves up like this can be an opportunity to experience new things. Take one more breath. And then a nice way to come out of this is just to roll onto one side. So take your time and slowly just unravel. And then press yourself up. So we're going to take this roll, but we're going to want it to be a little less thick. So we're going to unroll it a couple times. So we're going to be putting this actually around the abdomen, so in the soft tissue of the belly. So the smallest little roll, so only roll it like maybe 1 or 2 times. And then placing that towards the middle of your mat, we're just going to make like a little U. So once you have your little roll, just kind of fold it in. So you're making like a little bowl for the belly. So just imagine you're making something that you can kind of place your belly in, where you've got the support pushing through the side ribs and the lower abdomen in that soft tissue of the belly. So this little roll back here is going to go right in that low belly. So the hip bones are actually going to stay on the floor. And then you have that soft tissue of the belly right in that front roll. The little U rolls that we've created on the side are supporting the rib cage. And then you can either stack the hands to make a pillow, or you might want to grab your second blanket and just come onto one side of the head. Whatever feels more comfortable for your head. But you should at first feel this little roll pushing into the soft tissue of the abdomen, as well as the sides that made that U supporting the rib cage. So now we're going to bring our attention to the front belly. As you inhale, feel the push of the roll that we've created into the soft tissue of the belly. And as you exhale, feel it softening as the blanket kind of compresses deeper into the muscles and into the fascia, giving our abdomen a little bit of a compression massage. Just feel that connection in the belly with each breath. Just make sure that little bundle of blankets not actually on the pubic bone or the pelvis, but it's actually right underneath the belly button, again, in that soft tissue of your abdomen. And just feel yourself getting heavier and falling into this little support through the abdomen, the weight of the body being pulled into your mat. And if you are on one side of the head, I'm just going to invite you to come onto the other side to even out through the neck. But not changing anything throughout the rest of the body. And what at first might not feel comfortable, especially if we're not used to massaging the belly and the soft tissue there, hopefully now you're feeling that it'll be a little bit more gentle, as our bodies adapt so quickly. And now maybe we come back to deeper breath. And then for the last couple of breaths, feel free to stay exactly as you are. If you'd like to go a little deeper, I invite you to come up onto the forearms, and you'll feel that little roll we've created in the blanket push even deeper into the soft tissue of the abdomen, which might feel really nice, or you might not enjoy it and you come right back up being on the belly, more prone. Just notice how that feels, how that changes. And take a couple more breaths wherever you are. And then from there, just slowly start to work back up, taking your time as you lift the hips, making any micro adjustments you might need to come out of that shape. And then we're gonna finish in a variation of a Shavasana pose. So you will want both of your blankets for this. Go ahead and keep the U shape that you created. So ideally I'll fold it this way. It still looks like this. And we're gonna move it now to the top of our mat. And that's gonna be where we place our neck and the back of the head. So we're basically just giving ourselves a little bit of a supportive pillow. And then the other blanket, we're gonna wrap around the feet to find kind of a butterfly shape with a support. So for that, we're gonna want to unfold it once or twice. So you've got a good amount of fabric. And this doesn't have to be overly specific. The cat is ready because it's Shavasana time. But you're gonna wanna bring the bottom of your feet together, like if you're sitting into a butterfly shape. And then from there, all right, lovey-dovey, you gotta move so they can see. From there, you're gonna place the fabric on top of the feet and then grab underneath and wrap it around the ankles. So really all you're doing is creating the blanket holding your bottom of your feet together in the butterfly shape. So you can let your knees just be, and you're not having to muscle into the shape. So again, just placing the blanket on top of the feet. Also, that can be nice because it can keep your feet warm as we lay here. And then wrapping it up and underneath the ankles so it's there for you for your support. And then go ahead and I've started a little too close to my neck roll, but make any adjustments you need as you lower down. And then we're going to slide this little neck roll we've created underneath the actual cervical part of the neck. And then the back of our head should kind of land in that fabric of the U shape we've created. And then you can keep the hands on the body if that feels comfortable, or maybe down at a 45-degree off to the side. But ideally, once you start to land, you should feel a nice opening through the iliopsoas or the front of the hip flexor region into the pelvic region. And then this softening through the belly and the back. And then this support through the cervical spine. So rather than the neck being up in space, we're giving it that support so we can let go of any muscular engagement through the shoulders and through the chest. And then take the arms however feels comfortable for you. So maybe that stays down by your side, maybe that's resting them overhead. Just allow yourself to feel really supported, especially in all the areas that are a little bit more vulnerable, like the neck, like the low back. Allow them to feel grounded. And like you have this natural plumb line going from the crown of the head through the feet. So everything is just nice and in line. And allow yourself just to feel the weight of the body melting into your mat and into your prop. And come back to your breath. And if the hips are really tight and this is a little too intense just with the blanket, feel free to take the two blocks that we had at the beginning and place them underneath the knees, the outside of the knees, to give you that little extra support your body might need. So that way you can feel like you're not having to muscle into anything. You can just be and rest. Just notice if the mind is being pulled to come back to focusing on your breath. to being in this present moment. And take a couple more breaths here. And then all we're going to do is slowly and with control, especially if the hips are tight, bring the knees back together, placing the feet flat onto the floor, noticing how that feels, and then finding the most gentle windshield wiping of the sacrum on the floor, side to side. So that tailbone area. And then just allow yourself to come onto whatever side of your body feels the most natural for you today. And take a moment here, just laying on the side as you start to reawaken. And then whenever you're ready, using your arms to help press you up into a seated position. And just leave your props as they are, let them be for now. And then as you exhale, let your left ear fall to your left shoulder. Feel that gentle stretch through the right side of the neck. And then really take your time. Feel the segment of the body as you let the chin fall to the chest. And slowly, slowly, slowly work over to the right. And then slowly bring the chin back towards the chest. And then release up. I hope you feel a little less anxious, a little more grounded, a little bit more open and spacious in the body, specifically the superficial layer of the fascia underneath the skin. And until next time, be well.